Just pay your regular bills.
Wow, that is amazing.
It was win-win
Just
too.
that, by the way, is such a kind-hearted thing to do.
Oh man, condition and what others were offering him cash. That's why he came to Raymond, is he was giving him the win-win deal, to where he made money, he was able to have a quality of life, and then Raymond used his equation to see, how he, that's why you beat everybody out. So
Okay.
what was your equation, that's just,
Yeah, sorry about that. I interrupted you. I got
No
off track.
worries.
but
Sorry about
yeah,
that. But I just think that really is so amazing.
Thank you.
How much you truly help
yeah,
that person.
and guess what? He had to rehab and clean the whole. It was just health wise was better. His just because.
Yeah. And to give a lot of credit to my wife, guys,
Yes.
she began taking care of him even before we thought of buying the
Yes.
property. So this was years before the
Wow.
property was sold to us.
That's
That
so
my
amazing.
wife started taking care of him
Wow.
and taking him to his appointments and making sure that he was okay, right? Because he can barely walk, but he would manage to get to the restaurant every morning and sometimes for lunch as well. Now, so just to give you a quick rundown, beginning of 2021, I offered him $230,000 to buy this property, right? With the condition that he would be able to live in the rear house with no rents, so he'd be living there free, just
Property tax.
as long as he pays for his utilities. And
100% free.
but remember, this is two houses on one property. So the front house, I was able to renovate it and rent that house out, which paid for the mortgage. So let me give you the rundown on the numbers. $230,000 is what I offered, except the property had solar panels, which was about $20,000. And Robert, being such a great loan originator, he's like, why are you gonna? So my thought was, okay, why don't I pay $10,000 out of my own pocket and the seller pay
Taking
$10,000?
10,000 out of his profit.
Yeah,
Because he was profiting good.
and then so Robert, explain that part that you suggested, please.
We always use and to like I said, that's why we're gonna simplify everything, because to me it's like second language. So it's worth 20 grand. It appraised a little higher, and we were able to say, hey, why not cover it with the loan, increase the purchase price. That way, we're letting the purchase price, and when you
We're talking about the solar panels.
yeah,
here.
because here, let's get into a rule. One of the rules is when you're buying a house, the bank you're getting or the lender, the rules are, we're going to use the lower of the appraised value or purchase price. So let's say your purchase price is $230. Well, if the appraisal comes in at $220, we're going to look at it as if the purchase price is $220. It's time to go back to the negotiating table. At that point, your realtors will come to you, to the buyer's realtor and the seller's realtor, and they're going to go, okay, it appraised for $220. What do you want to do? Well, let's see if they'll drop the price to $220. This is when the buyer lets the seller know what the appraisal is. Usually we tell them it came in good, no repairs. But the one time we tell the seller what the appraisal amount is if it comes in lower. So, hey, will you lower the purchase price 20 grand? Well, the seller goes, no, I don't want to do that.
Nope.
I don't, let's say the buyer really wants it. Okay, they cover the 10 grand difference. Then their loan's based on whatever the down payment based on the appraised amount of $220.
So this is being creative. Robert, what he actually did was, instead of getting the seller to lower his price, he offered him 10,000. We actually upped the list price of $230 to $240, but that whole amount of $20,000 would be paid from by the proceeds, right?
Exactly.
From the sale of the property, because the property was already paid for, guys. When he sold it to me, when I bought the property.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it needed over $100,000 in renovations.
Actually, the renovations. Let me get to that really quick. Okay, so mind you, I paid with closing costs and everything. The escrow cost was $241,699. with 82 cents, right? The rental cost total for the front and rear when it was available was 45,000 total. Total in was 286,699,000. I refinanced out because I bought that property cash. I was able to um, uh, renovate it with cash as well, right? And so when I did the refinance, Robert, remember I pulled out about 232,000,
Yep.
which left $54,699 in the deal of my own money, right? I left that in the deal. So when I do my calculation, when I add the two rentals together, the front one's renting out for $19.80, the rear for $19.50. That's a total of $33,930. Now the mortgage right now it went up because of property taxes. Those dang property taxes, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So it actually went up about $230.
Wow.
But my payment now on that property is $1,483. That's MIP. The mortgage, the property tax, insurance, right? What is it? MITI.
Yeah.
Sorry.
PITI.
Sorry, guys. PITI.
Principal, interest, taxes, and insurance.
Thank you, guys. Okay, so after that is deducted, which is $1,483 from $3,930, my that number would be $2,446. Now I pay trash, so trash is $33 a month. That brings down to us to $2,413. I also save at least 3% every month, which goes towards any unexpected fixes. Unexpected
Unexpected expenses.
expenses, yeah. So that's an additional $72 that I set aside for those expenses. And monthly, when it's all said and done, this is my cash flow for the property. This is just one property, guys. $2,341.50 monthly cash flow, okay? That adds up annually to be $28,098. Now, when I get that number, I divide that by the total amount left in the deal, which is $54,699. My return on investment, guys, where can you get a 51.36% return on investment? Where? Tell me.
Yes, and that was again, and we kind of got sidetracked on that. That is unbelievable. But you rented he lived rent free. We kind of got sidetracked on what happened. That's what the gut wrenching happened. Why don't you give us the end of that? What happened with the elderly man staying there?
So he was staying there.
This is COVID. I think this has to do with COVID.
No. Actually, COVID is when he was placed in an elderly home.
Okay.
And so we found him. Well, my wife calls me up, and she says, "Ray, we haven't seen Paul in the restaurant for about 2 to 3 days now." And so we had, I go, you know what, let me go check on him. So I arrived at his property, knocked, his car was there in the driveway, kept on knocking, no one answered. So I had the key with me, I let myself in, of course, knocking on the door. "Paul, it's me, Ray, are you here?" And I hear a faint voice in the bathroom, "Ray, I'm over here." And I opened up the bathroom, and he's on the bathroom floor. Who knows how long he was there? He slipped and fell.
Poor grandpa.
Yeah, and we haven't seen him, mind you, for 2 to 3 days. So I'm thinking he's been there for at least 2 days, right?
At least.
And he's like, "I fell asleep." He tells me, "Ray, I fell asleep for a little bit. I don't know how long I've been out." But then he's telling me, "Thank God you're here." So we help him out. My son finally arrived. I called him up. He arrived to help me pick him up. And at that point, we call 911. He goes to the hospital, and at that point, he can't take care of himself at that point. So they put him in a facility where they take care of him now. But not now, not any longer. God rest his soul. He passed away not too long ago. But that was the story with this property,
But yeah, again, God bless that you were there for him. That's the moral of the story. And,
thank you to my wife as well.
Yeah, and your wife. And I don't know if you want to say her name.
Alma Aquino, yeah.
Alma, she's amazing.
She works at the restaurant. You guys can find her there 4 days out of the week.
Super clean. I love it. So clean and delicious. But that was yeah, that was, but after that happened, man, bam, you were able to,
Yeah, after that happened, guys, I was able to rent both properties out, and right now,
51% return on investment.
51% return on investment on the money that I invested in this property. Now, what does the stock market average out to? About 7 to 8% annually.
Yep.
I'm not sure, but compare that to 51%.
And this is
Yeah,
where,
51 blows that out of the water, by the way. Completely.
and you hear about, you're hearing on the news about rates and stuff. Is that stopping you? Is that stopping you from, we talked about your recent one, where you want to cash out? Would you, rates are where they're at, but is that going to stop you from replenishing your funds to take it to another level?
Absolutely not, guys. Don't let the rates scare you, okay? Because
Simple interest. We talk, yes.
Have a whole episode dedicated. Watch on YouTube.
Is that the first one?
That was one of our first ones, yeah.
Okay.
That was actually the first time I actually heard that story from start to finish, where you were helping that person. And you are completely right. That's gut wrenching. It's a tearjerker.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
God bless you
And
guys.
thank
yeah,
you, guys.
God bless you guys. And that is truly a amazing story. And that 51% is also amazing. But I had a quick question for you too. And since we're talking about rates, and obviously rates aren't going to stop you because you're a dedicated investor. If, and I'm not saying the market's going to crash, but in the event, let's say for example like a '08 crash, what is your plan to keep these properties?
Okay, perfect. I love that question, Bobby.
Well, that's a
Because
great one.
the reason being, I get this question from a lot of family members, friends, acquaintances, right?
Yeah.
They tell me, aren't you afraid that the market's going to crash? You're going to lose a lot of money. And I think to myself, well, I'm buying to hold the property. I'm not buying to sell them.
Long term.
Long term, remember that, long term is a lot different from flipping. Flipping is a total different way of investing. So I think to myself, I'm buying long term, and I tell them, and I have reserves for at least 6 months per property. So even if my renters skip out and they don't pay me for 6 months, I have reserves. And talking about reserves earlier, right? How important that is,
Exactly
because
why the big ones.
yes, you don't want to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in an asset to where you're not protected with reserves, because that's a lot of money you're gonna lose if you don't have at least 6 months of reserves, man. And that will cover me in case there's no renter in the property per property that we have, guys.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
And it goes back to what we talked about last week, is how we structured it. We let borrowed money, in the end, when we're and again, when he pulled that cash out, do you think, man, he's the one coming to me going, what's the lowest rate, Robert? I'm doing some equations.
Yeah.
What's the lowest
Yes.
rate they're going to legally let me buy down? Because
I honestly thought he got sick of my calls. I did.
no, I love it. Because we designed it to where he can lower his rents below dirt cheap. Everybody needs a place to live. He can offer the cheapest rent in town if it gets back to rents 10 years ago.
Thank you for bringing that up, Robert. Okay, just to give you that example, remember my rents total.
He's netting right now. We're in a housing crisis, guys. He's netting right now
28,000 annually
annually net.
on one property.
Wow.
That's just one property, guys.
That is, and again, timing. One house leads to another. Why were you talking about buying now? You don't think he's going to replenish his money once his most recent investment, the one he turned from a 2-unit into 3 units? Do you think that he's not going to hesitate to refinance that again when and if rates drop? But it ain't going to stop him. He's going to get that buying power, and he's going for the next big move.
I've already been doing my numbers, Robert, and calculating if I did refinance with a current rate of 6.5%. That's about the going rate, right now?
Well, we don't talk specific on rates,
gotcha.
when
Sorry.
it comes to the loan origination, you're allowed to. There's a lot of factors that factor into the risk. It's all about risk. So, it all comes down to risk and what you qualify for. So, but you can you have to choose the rate. and we'll get into that,
Okay,
choosing the right
gotcha.
rate. We're getting close to the end of this. You guys can
Wow,
get a hold
guys.
of us at 760-669-7813. Tell them about it.
And again, that's our phone number if you guys have any questions and want to talk to us personally. This is Bobby Bulmer. My NMLS number is 2060902. And the other person that was just talking is Robert Bulmer. His NMLS number is 322918. FBC Mortgage is a equal housing lender. Their NMLS number is 152859. And again, you can reach us at 760-669-7813. And Mr. Aquino, do you want to shout out your YouTube as well?
Investing in rentals, I found my passion. I'm on Instagram at Aquino Ray and on TikTok at Ray Aquino 99. And
Give them the restaurant info real quick.
Yeah.
Springhouse Restaurant, 16441 Main Street, Hesperia, California, 92345. Come out and enjoy a great meal. We're open from 7 to 4 p.m., guys, daily. Come check us out, please.
Right on.
And
So
by
is-
the way, very, very, very clean restaurant. I want to point out, and I
and
I
the
haven't
food
eaten
is
there
amazing.
more than a
Thank
few
you.
times, and you know, it's one of those things when you go to that restaurant, you wake up in the morning, you're like, man, I want to go to Springhouse right now.
Thank
And
you.
it's like
Thank
you
you
get in the
very
mood
much.
for it, and you
Yeah.
got to go do it. And the food is great. It's a lot of food too. It fills you up, and it's good.
Man, I feel like we haven't even touched the tip
Of the iceberg, huh?
of this conversation, guys.
Right.
That's why we're going to keep having you
Yeah.
back, Ray. So we're going to definitely keep having you come back as
Okay.
long as you want to come back because we're still getting into it.
Yes.
So
This is just one of the properties, guys, that we have.
Yeah, we have a lot of episodes to
Yeah.
do, and we want to keep educating because we do get into side notes that are important. So
Yeah, and that is important too. And on that education factor is are we good? Oh, okay. Yeah, on the education factor is, you know, you have to understand what he's been through start to finish to understand how he's built it. You know, you have to understand the motivation side of it. You have to understand that he learned the finance part. You have to understand
Sure
that he
did.
tried and he did it.
And don't let rates scare you. If you can, it doesn't get easier. It doesn't get cheaper. Everything's up and down. Get while the getting's good. If you can pull it off, pull it off. There'll be a time to save money. There'll be a time where a house leads to another. So everybody needs a home base, and trust me, once you own, you never go. It's very, very rare you go back to renting. So give us a call, guys. 760. Give Robert and Bobby a call. Myself and Bobby. 760-669-7813. Yeah, Bob.
Okay, yeah, and our NMLS numbers for Robert is 322918. Mine is 2060902. FBC Mortgage is the equal housing lender. Their NMLS number is 152859. Again, our phone number is 760-669-7813.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good show.
Appreciate it.
Is that it? Or we?
And we're good.
Nice. That went great. I love hearing when you talk about the financial part and how you break the numbers down.
Oh, okay.
Because you know, it's good to know and to hear, you know, how you save the 10%. Okay, this is what I did. You know, you take that 10% of your income, you put it away, you don't touch it, and then you're telling me you have the 3%, the 6 months reserves that you take from the properties just in case something crazy
Absolutely.
happens.
So even before we buy the property, Bobby, I already have that reserves set aside before we even buy that property.
Right, and
Okay.
see, I think, and that to me, that's amazing. The fact that you could pull that off and discipline yourself to save the money, I think that's what people want to hear.
My wife,
Yeah.
you have to. You have to have a good woman.
Yeah.
It's my wife that saves all the money. man.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm the one that invests. She's the one that saves. So
I like it.
thank
I
you
like
to my wife.
Teamwork.
Yes.
You have to
yes.
have a teammate.
Absolutely.